The deal is this. Tell you, when I was a kid, I read Dropper Anton Wilson and all this real. Tell you, when I was a kid, I read Dropper Anton Wilson and all this real. Dude, I'm pissed. Dude, I'm pissed. Come on. Why don't we? Come on. Why don't we? Okay, by the time we finish this, you're all going to be practicing magicians.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I talk about all things X-Men, and this is it, Gary. We're wrapping it up. In this session, we've got 4 episodes of this podcast left, and then we're just going to hang it up. We're gone forever. Bye-bye.
Yep, it's yep, the Grant Morrison cast has ended, doing his most famous and influential work, New X-Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to start a new podcast called Look Out for Uppercuts. It's awesome. Just a deep dive into some retro games you may not have heard of.
Yeah, exactly. Mostly in the Punch-Out series. And then after that, it's our Jeff Johns Green Lantern podcast.
Hell yeah.
Neither of us like it. Spoiler. So we're doing the last issues of the run during this session. So the next 2 weeks on the regular feed, just this week on the Patreon feed. Then we'll do a wrap up kind of letters column, then kind of an intro to the Age of Apocalypse, and then get into the Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah, that means if you're listening to this on the Patreon feed, or if you're listening to this, this episode will go out with the Patreon feed. So if you're listening to this, you have, based on Gary and I recording, probably about a week to get, maybe 2 weeks to get your letters in. Thank you to the people that have written stuff in. I really appreciate that. I've been cataloging all of those, so we're going to read all of those on the podcast where we do that. But you still have time. daysoffuturecast.com/contact, or DM us on Twitter, DOFC Podcast, or that's it. That's all you can do. That's it.
Those are the things.
Yeah, I don't know how.
You can try other things. They won't get to us.
Yeah.
So like write them in the memo of a check, or like yell them from a rooftop or something like that. But we probably won't get them.
I guess you could message me on PSN like some people do from time to time. And I'm like, this is the least accessible way to get my attention.
Yeah, I've never ignored anything faster than that. Once like that started happening, and then I was like, "How do I make it look like I'm offline all the time?"
Yes, which is what I've done.
Did all the settings. Same thing with Steam. Like, leave me alone. I'm sorry. Like, I can't.
I had to block a guy because he was like, "You are a god at Sekiro," and I'm like, "I don't know who you are. Like, what are you talking about?" It's like, "You just make yourself sound so good," and I'm like, who? What? No.
Yeah, this feels wrong. Yeah. Stop it. Like,
why am I communicating with you at all?
Yeah, it's fucking weird, man. It's just don't do the "we're not worthy" Wayne's World thing.
Yes, no.
What about a video game?
God, can you imagine a bit that like they did that to Aerosmith? Like
a lot
of all the people.
They said they were not. It's most of what Wayne's World 2 is. Like, I forgot how Aerosmith focused that was, but I watched it when it came to Amazon Prime at the beginning of the month because I hadn't seen Wayne's World 2 in a long time, and it's so Aerosmith heavy. That's
so weird.
With the end with all the cameos of bands getting out of cars, but you don't get to hear them play other than Aerosmith.
That's so. I remember that. I remember very little about Wayne's World 2 in general, though. So, yeah.
Well, it's there are some funny jokes in it. It's actually like some pretty good jokes, but the plot is dumb.
Of course, yeah. Saturday Night Live movies.txt.
Yeah, exactly. And well, usually they don't have the first one either.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the rare exception where it's like actually pretty funny, but not as funny is New X-Men 152.
Yep.
The issue we're talking about this episode.
Here Comes Tomorrow, Part 2. So basically, to catch everybody up, the Phoenix died. Jean Grey died. Scott lost all hope, and it has developed into this future. We did a time skip 150 years in the future where we have a whole new cast of characters. The Phoenix Egg is a thing that exists. It was saved by the Proud People. who were then all promptly murdered, except for one guy who has a pet sentinel that he doesn't fuck, which is going to be kind of important.
Yeah, he should have just thrown it a bone.
Should have just fucked the sentinel and everything would have been fine.
Yeah. Hey, mate, I pity fucked you, Rex. Rover, I pity fucked you.
The Beast,
Boys Tom Skylark,
a.k.a. Sublime, a.k.a. some weird villain, has grabbed the Phoenix egg, and we're going to kind of pick it up there. The cover of this is really cool. I like this.
It's great. You know, because so we're going to find out a bunch of that stuff this episode. I think this is where we find out that's Sublime. And the cover of this, so Sublime Beast is using clones of Nightcrawler as his minions, and he can kind of put any genes he wants into them. So the cover of this, like his main foot soldier, are Nightcrawlers.
Yes,
he calls them crawlers, and the cover is that, and it's a really cool illustration of Nightcrawler. Or this evil monster version of Nightcrawler. This would
be a lot less scary if he just called them Greers or Butterfields. Like if you're going to take a partner,
like these Wagners.
Destroy my enemies, Wagners.
Yes. Yeah. So we get into this, and you mentioned the proud people who lost the Phoenix egg. That's what this opens with. Is kind of a flashback about that. With Time Skylark saying like this is how they died, and showing this team of like, you know, I don't know, a superhero team that we don't get to spend any time with, and most of which we don't actually learn anything about. There's a few of these in this run that I think are kind of fun, like these just alt future like flashes of these teams, and the person coming to take them out is Apollyon, who we've mentioned. We'll talk about this when it comes up with the reveal and stuff, but. This is pretty clearly Phantom X being repurposed, even though editorial denied it. I'm pretty sure that's the implication from the author.
And the wikis, if you go search that on the wikis will like confirm what editorial says. Like I read this and I just like, especially with the reaction of what's her name, Eva. Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely Phantom X. I shout out to the poor artist and character designers that had to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters to die in one issue. Like, like there's this like purple goth chick whose whole attitude is this purple goth, and like I'm kind of curious what's happening with Angel chick back there. What's up with your halo, girl?
Looks awesome.
What is that?
She looks great.
Why do you have a halo?
Like the guy with the magic car. Like this looks like a fun team to me.
Yeah, me too.
Like, so Apollyon is demanding that they hand over the egg, and their unseen member from this, Mermax, who is the liaison from the X-Men, who decides to take off, and he's a gigantic mermaid mutant.
Yes, he's a whale.
Takes off. Or whale, yeah. Not mermaid. Mermaid. Wow. Yeah, male. Or whale. Fuck.
Somebody reboot Gary.
I need to press the Sage reboot button on the back of the reboot acupressure point. What's really weird is the implied leader of the Proud People is like Thorge or Thorge.
Sure, Thorge. I like Thorge.
Because it's definitely kind of Thor. He's got Thor, you know, looks, you know, and speech patterns. But he calls himself Smith the Maker, and the Maker is Forge's nickname, and he looks like Forge.
Yes. I have no idea what's going on.
I do not know
here.
what's going on with Thorge. Yeah.
Also, why does Mermax the mutant whale have a I guess a Scottish accent, Irish accent?
He's probably born in Scotland.
I mean, so I'm the idiot for thinking that all whales don't have accents. So a whale that's born off the coast of Louisiana is walking around, is swimming around talking like Gambit, Cher. Is that what we're doing?
Give me some plankton, Cher.
Put it in my blowhole. Put it in my blowhole.
You finger the blowhole. That Mr. Sinister is a grit in my baleen.
My tongue is a kilometer wide, Cher.
Cher. They call me the sperm whale, but not for nothing.
Whales having accents from where they're from is very good.
Depths Gambit. Like there's something there.
Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the maker says like, no, we're not going to do that. And Tom, I believe is this dude's name, and his Sentinel are like, they're basically, their job is to get the Phoenix Egg out of there. And the Proud People, this team, are going to distract all of these crawlers who have angel wings. He's going to be crossed with Angel that, Apollyon is going to send at them. And it's a fight.
Yes. Yep. We get this brief little fight where we kind of see a little bit of this team's, stees.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Brian, who has his magic car that flies. I think that's a very fun idea for a superhero. There is a character, the goth chick with the wand, reminds me a little bit of Nico in Runaways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of has that kind of look. But basically, like you mentioned, they're causing a distraction here. And we just get to see them get taken out just by these Madrox trait infused crawlers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can multiply. And they're just like infinite night crawlers. What are you supposed to do?
I mean, like one of these guys named, like, the character that we've met, his name is Tom. Like the dude with the magic car is named Brian. Like, is the chick with the halo just named like Karen
like
or something? Like what
Sarah.
is Sarah?
Yeah. Like Dakota. We see her die specifically. And there's a really clever thing where the sound effects, the BAMF sound effects keep taking up more and more of the panel until eventually you can't see anything other than the BAMFs. And it ends with him, Tom Skylar telling the story, being like, there are plumes of sulfur miles high, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
To this European super team. Pretty cool.
I don't know why. Maybe it's just the halo, but like, I just get serious Binding of Isaac vibes from this chick who can like, shoot eye beams and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is like, why don't I fight this person? Like, this is a womb boss, right?
Yeah.
Or a cathedral boss.
Some kind of boss. Like just having the halo floating around in real life is a really cool look, I think. So it turns out Tom is telling this to a bunch of mutant kids at the Institute with Eva. And there's a funny panel here where like, they're like, is that real? And he's like, well, I lost the egg that they died for. Do I look shameful? And he goes, well, and she questions him. He goes, well, I'm only joking. Some brave people have to die, but good always wins in the end. And she says, are you sure? Because current statistical thinking suggests otherwise, which is very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. This kid has been brought up in a war tort. Like being a kid raised by the X-Men is going to have some drastically altered thinking about wars. Right.
Dude. Yeah. And good pride, especially since this universe is, canonically one that doesn't win, so like her being like, yeah, we don't always win in the end. Like she's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Eva
has shown up to announce that they need to
attack the base.
Attack the base because since they don't have their plan was to use the Phoenix Egg, but since they can't do that, they have to go immediately because, as they'll explain a little bit later, like what if he starts fucking with this Phoenix Egg? It could be completely horrible. But before that, we get a weird flirtation, I guess, is what this is.
The subplot of Tom Skylark trying to nut before he dies, but by having sex with this robot, like the sex bot, is really fucking weird to me.
Yeah. He starts this out by saying, I'm very good with machines. I get on well with them. And I can tell that you're unhappy or unfulfilled. And she's like, listen, you have feelings. I'm a robot. And like, I am never going to have contact with another person since what happened to Phantom X. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to be that connected to him. And like, and Tom's response is like, or Todd, I keep forgetting what this dude's name is just basically like, I'm only a human being. I'm one of the last few thousand of us in the whole world. I can say what I like. And I'm like, is this like, did you just ask her to smile? Is that what you just did? Like, why don't you smile more, Eva? Like,
Tom's going to get sent to Institute sensitivity training and they're all going to die because they had to delay the mission for this. Like, you don't get to say what you like, even our Robo Sapiens deserve not to be harassed in the workplace. So he calls his robot, who can only say destroy, and he kind of gives it shit. That's kind of his whole thing, and kind of teases it. And Eva here, and again, a weird bit of foreshadowing, is like, it sounds heartbroken. I think it loves you. And he's like, no, it doesn't have a heart. And she changes the subject. Like, this is one of her ancestors. She's a super sentinel. Mm-hmm. This is a Mark I sentinel. And he's being cavalier and cruel to this thing, which is, again, what passes for Tom Skylark's arc in the story, which is, something I don't think really needed to happen.
Just a lot of time,
is
a lot of pages spent on like, and it's only 2 or maybe 3, I guess, towards the end. But like,
it's still more than I want. We cut over to the 3-in-1, the remaining Stepford Cuckoos, who are kind of talking, like doomcasting what happens if the beast gets the phoenix egg, while Wolverine is like doing Tai Chi in the foreground.
This is one of those like weird roommate situations where like you're just sitting there trying to eat breakfast and pronounce the end of the world, and they're like, "Can you just like fucking dial it down? Like I'm doing something here, man.
Go to your room.
Can you not do that? Can you go outside? Isn't there like a Tai Chi group that you could do this with? Like I don't need to look at you sweat and be weird. Like I don't know what this is."
Yeah.
They kicked me out, bub. I was too violent.
Yeah, I killed a dog, bub. So they're talking about that, like and talking a little bit about his plan, which is to halt evolution and have this mass-produced biological conformity. Like basically, Sublime is anti-evolution, just wants to be the only extant thing, like a bacteria would.
Mm-hmm.
And Cassandra Nova pops in and is like, actually, it's worse than that. What if he makes puts the Phoenix traits onto himself or into his armies? Like, it's not just that he has the Phoenix. Once he has something, he can add that option to like everybody, to his whole army. So we will all die.
Yep. Fun times. So she continues to go on, and there's a panel here where she says, "I've had dreams, dreams with you in them," where it looks like Cassandra Nova is looking at the reader. Like this almost looks like it's like a breaking the fourth wall thing. But
yeah.
But maybe not. Like I don't know what like. There's so much of this arc. There's so much of the writing and the art of this that like kind of it's just really hard to like piece out. Like it's hard to get all of the things that they're trying to say out of just what's on the page without making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah. And it's that can go two ways, and even within the same issue, it can go two ways. Like that's either cool because it's fun to do bonfireside chat shit and try to figure out what's going on, or it sucks because it doesn't explain enough, and it does both.
Because you're doing bonfireside chat for Dark Souls 3, it is not fun to figure out what's
exactly.
going
on. This vacillates wildly between Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 levels of bonfireside chat. I think that she is looking at us. Mm-hmm. Because she says, after she says, "I've seen you," she says, "This was never meant to be. Something went terribly wrong." And us as the reader saw that. Mm-hmm. So like we are in on that. It's weird though to have her like to throw that in here. Like there's real big like Grant Morrison's at the end of the run having fun doing shit.
Yeah.
Vibes. And really not reining in his indulgences. Like I said, I've come to like this arc, but like all the stuff with the robot shit. Like, I don't think it's necessarily an indulgence of Grant Morrison, like where he likes fucking robots. But I think the idea of like this guy who is raised by robots being attracted to them, and then the robot being sad and jealous would appeal to him. That seems like something he just wanted to explore for like a moment, like a microsecond in the middle of this arc, where it just ends up feeling like there are more important things to address.
Yeah.
The
3-in-1, Cassandra Nova asked them what the 3-in-1 what they've been seeing, what they see of the future, and they say a fire from beyond, consuming fire, the judgment of the Phoenix, which is not good. That's not a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they think that it just means they're all going to die, but it actually the Phoenix is literally going to burn away this reality. This will never have happened, which is a wild fucking thing. They're all walking. Wolverine says, "Times for talking's over." They're all walking to the X-Jet, kind of explaining and talking about their team, that they kind of have here. And we get our, like, this new X-Men badass walking montage with all the remaining mutants cheering them on. We have Tito, who is like Beak's grandson, who's like a big tough. Mm-hmm. Cassandra Nova and Martha, Wolverine, Eva, and then Tom Skylark and Rover.
Yep.
And these are our X-Men.
I do love the things the shots that they do in this, where you pretty much just see Rover's feet and like the mutants just all hanging out at his feet the entire time. Like it's just a cool use of perspective that I really, really dig. I also like all of the background characters that are giving them like thumbs up. Like, yeah, save the world.
It's like the background. It's Guile stage in Street Fighter 2.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, who are these guys?
It is weird, like pin-uppy during this. Like, I don't think you needed to make Cassandra Nova look sexy, and give her like sexy hips in this. Like this artist is just real bonered out. That Wolverine, like this looks like a Marlboro Man Wolverine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. With the hands like with the thumbs in the pocket and like that
the
look.
mini pockets.
Yeah, like this is a very you definitely want to have sex with this kind of thing. I mean, there's water dripping off of Eva's nipple, Gary. Like this thing is very horny.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I just saw that. Like the sex bot nipple protrusion here. It's just, it's mildly too horny.
Yeah. Also, I just love Tito's like he's so straight edge, I guess. Like he's got the chain with the padlock around his neck.
Hell yeah.
From here we're going to bounce over to Transatlantis and we're going to get some a lot of speech giving from Beast. He's saying that the Proud People are dead. He's dissecting them.
Well, Apollyon's telling him that.
Oh, that's right. That's Apollyon.
The yellow's Apollyon.
My bad.
Yeah. It's okay. He's responding. So Apollyon just went and, killed the Proud People, and he's explaining like they're on dissection tables now. And Beast is monologuing.
Yes.
And he found a new creature. Like he found, Sublime is against evolution, as we'll find out, against these new creatures. He found a new one, this parasite. And he's like reproducing it and doing his work. It's showing him taking the traits from something, and he keeps, this is kind of introducing the thing where he's dodging Apollyon's questions.
Yes.
Apollyon keeps saying like, do I have to remain unfinished? Like I was the last and greatest of your human. I was supposed to be made perfect. Like, give me the Phoenix traits. We have the Phoenix. And Beast just keeps dodging, It's he's like the Democratic Party. Like now is not the time. Do not dream big. We'll get you a Phoenix traits in 4 years. For now, we need to stay the course.
At least he can finish a sentence on national TV. That's one thing you can say about Beast.
Yeah, for now though. And as he's doing this, he's taking these feeder, these creatures he calls feeders, these brain parasites, and putting them on the princess of the Proud People, whose name is Corona, and having this like weird little brain spider thing eat her brain.
Yeah. Too soon, by the way. Too soon.
Yes, way too soon.
And of course he's like, imagine if we put these in crawlers. Like these feeder implants like eat people's thoughts and turn them, against them. And he says, come Apollyon, and then he says the time of the hatching draws near, and it's a full page spread of night crawlers that all have Cyclops beams shooting the Phoenix egg, and what looks like a skeleton on the inside. So I guess the implication here is that they are feeding this egg energy so that it hatches early. So they basically, this thing is going to absorb whatever energy you throw at it to spit out a Jean Grey Phoenix.
Yep. I love how dorky Beast is, where he's going, more power, incubate.
Oh my god, dude!
Incubate as an exclamation, is pretty good. Also, do you notice that one of the crawlers has a nose ring?
Yes. Yeah. When did he go get pierced?
Are they keeping Claire's open inside the 150 years in the future?
If you're curious, Apollyon, that's why you don't have any Phoenix traits, because you keep piercing the crawlers.
I was made to be perfect, just like this septum ring.
The incubate stuff, I know you're not a Doctor Who fan, but like I definitely read that in the Dalek voice where the incubate, like, and I just I'm picturing that Doctor Who episode and getting really, really, chuffed about it, as Doctor Who would say.
Getting chuffed. I don't know, what does chuffed mean?
I've only heard it in context, but apparently, like, I used the wrong word to Josh Garrity one time, and he was like, "Jeremy, you're not supposed to say that." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was. I thought I knew what that meant, but apparently not. My bad."
Damn,
Josh, if you're listening, I don't even remember what the word is. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
It wasn't chuffed.
So the egg,
was it fanny?
No,
I know that means something different.
Oh man, yeah. I can't remember what it was. This was years ago. I'd said something to Patty, and then Josh was like, and I'm like, oh, my bad. I'll go to Urban Dictionary and figure out where I went wrong.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
The Phoenix egg explodes as they put more power into it, slaughtering all of the crawlers, and out from... and I find it kind of interesting that, like, because we're going to see every once in a while this Sublime Beast character, like, just drifting into, like, animal speech, like Cassandra Nova did to Beast way back in the day, and this is one of those times. And out of the Phoenix egg is this weird, like, kind of mutant like blob thing, which looks
Yeah.
really, really cool. And I kind of wish that would have just stayed that way instead of becoming Jean Grey.
Yeah, it has to kind of develop back into Jean Grey. Like, it's really interesting. Like, it starts off as this primordial ooze, and I think this is just to suggest that it hatched early.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which the text says later. Sublime introduces, you know, himself like, I'm the oldest thing. I'm eternal. I've waited for years.
3 billion years.
3 billion years. Like, and that's why I think the animal speech is coming from. Like, he's been keeping Beast body alive for 150 years. You know, so like, there's probably shit breaking down. And Jean Grey is confused. You know, like, I was in the Crown of the White Hot Room, which we've heard about the White Hot Room before. We'll get more of that in this. You know, and she recognizes, she's like, Henry, is that you? And he's like, oh yes, Henry. Yes, Beast. Mm-hmm, that's me. And then we get our final page reveal here where he's like, you're my ultimate soldier, my destroyer of worlds, call me Sublime.
Yes.
And this is where the run actually reveals what's going on with Beast.
Or it reveals that he is Sublime. Not that it doesn't reveal exactly what's been going on yet, because that's still up to interpretation.
We will find out what Sublime is and what happened to get Beast in there, but now we know the connection.
And Jean Grey is naked and half on fire, and so is Beast, because, you know, super horny stuff. You got to see water dripping from a nipple. Now you get to see fire dripping from a nipple. God.
You know? Eventually you get earth and air, and then you can make Captain Nipple.
With these things that drip off of nipples combined, I am your porno
these nipples
master.
Combined. I'm quad boob.
Totally different thing there. This is a good issue. You know, the thing about this arc is that it's very confusing until you get to the end, and even the end is pretty confusing. But like, some of the stuff in here is kind of cool. Like, I like the idea of our, like, a weird future X-Men, like, going to what has to be a doomed fight at this point. And then I actually like some of the Proud People designs enough that, like, give me a one-off issue or something. I wonder if anybody's ever done that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure somebody has at some point, right?
Yeah, somebody's done fan art of these things that appeared in two issues. Like, I agree, even though it's weird, like, rereading this, because one of the things we kept saying was that this arc needed more space. Not very much happens in this issue.
Yeah.
Like, it is the weird, it's like this is a 4-issue arc, and it's kind of a filler issue. Like, the Phoenix gets hatched, we get that flashback, and that's about it. You know, it's weird for like a 22-page comic in this run to have so little occur.
Yeah.
So little incident.
It's all set up, really, except for the Phoenix egg hatching at the end, which is obviously the cliffhanger. But, like, it's all like, okay, like, we know what the Proud People did, and the X-Men are going to fight the Beast, and here's this weird Apollyon character that, like, oh, maybe is going to be betrayed. Like, it's just all set up all the time.
Yeah.
And it's
and the Sublime reveal is huge, you know, but that doesn't really pay off until issue 4. When they kind of explain what Sublime is and how Sublime got in there.
Yeah, because you could be forgiven at this point for thinking, like, wait, Sublime, like, that dude got thrown out of a window for like 20 issues ago. Like, what do you like, how could this possibly be Sublime? Until, like, you actually get some explanation later, which somewhat explains it. So yeah.
And we talked about that at the beginning, where you're kind of talking about the arc in general, is that, like, it's not the strength, you know, we talked about how this is sometimes like fun piecing together and sometimes not fun. It's not really a strength of this issue that it's so much better on the second or third read, you know, or this arc rather. You know, information, you know, I don't know necessarily this was the most deft Grant Morrison's ever been in terms of choosing when to reveal information. You know, like, I think the idea would be like, you'd get to that last issue and you'd be like, oh shit. And then you'd reread the run, you know, and be like, I know this, you know, and that's what we did. But I know the first time I read it, I wasn't like, hell yeah, time to start at the beginning. I was more like, that's fucking weird. It's good, but that's fucking weird. And then I moved on to read, you know, something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So
this is a good issue. I'm interested to get to the next two, because I think that's where the meat of this story really is. So
the fourth one's great, I think.
Yeah, I like
I love 154.
Yeah, I read it on Wednesday, and I was super excited to read it. I did not read the last 2 issues of this quote unquote arc though. So.
I read them twice, 3 times now total in my life, and that's all you're getting from me. So that's we're covering both those issues in one issue, and we're basically just gonna say what happens. And I want to talk some shit about Salvador Larroca's art.
Oof,
so
oof. Well, if you like this, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. A few dollars a month goes a long way to paying all of our bills. We appreciate that, every single person that does that right now. If you sign up at a certain level, you get episodes of this podcast early. We release one.
Just $3.
$3.
It's the lowest level.
We release 4 episodes every 2 weeks, so you don't have to wait for each episode to come out like a normal person. You can be behind the scenes almost. You also get access to the Slack and all kinds of cool stuff. So check that out. Ratings, reviews, all that stuff helps. We'll be back in a couple of days for more X-Men.
Awesome.